Just do it. Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to try to convince you to do that thing that you've been putting off. That thing that is new and exciting and scary. And that thing that you feel excited about, but you feel scared to do. So you learn more by doing things and being able to reflect on it later. I remember there's this video that I watched, and it was about this theory. I don't remember the name of it, but in this theory, they were talking about this lady who lived in this black and white box but studied everything about color. She knew everything. And the question they asked was, because she lived in this black and white world, would she learn something new from experiencing the color? Because she knew everything about color. She knew how it affected the brain. She understood the perception. Would she learn something new from experiencing color? Now, I would argue yes. Because when you think about doing something versus when you actually do and experience it, it is very different. There is a learning curve that happens. There is an adjustment that happens. The experience affects you in a different way. Even if you can imagine all the different elements, there's always something that is a little unpredictable that you are not able to know just from learning and reading about it. And that's why experiencing it is so important, right? So just by experiencing it, you're going to learn a lot more. Now, how I learned to do it, even though I'm scared and I know I don't know everything about it, how I learned to do it, there is two things that helped me. One thing was I had this mindset that if I do it now, and if I make the mistakes now, it is better for me. It is better for me to learn the lesson now. And that helps me do things for the future. For example, something that everyone has to do is probably taxes, right? So if I learn how to do it now while I'm in my 20s, it'll be easier for me to do it when I'm in my 30s, right? Or if I learn how to do something simple, like for example, if I didn't know how to change a light bulb, if I learn how to do it now, in the future, it'll be easier for me to have that skill. So that's something that helps propel me into doing things, even if I feel like, very scared, and even if I feel like, it's not going to turn out that great. I think, well, I can make the mistakes now, and it's easier for me now to recover from those mistakes versus in the future, if I'm making those mistakes, it doesn't look really good, and it's harder to recover from those mistakes, right? And then another thing that helps me was I listened to this one podcast with the CFO of Netflix, and he was saying that they would figure out the fastest, simplest way to do it, even if it was messy and imperfect. So like on their website, they would try out like a deal or a bargain or something. And even if things were glitchy and they weren't working correctly, they were still able to see if the demand was there for that. There was a demand for that promotion or something. They were still able to see it. So even if it didn't work, they were able to see if people would be supporting it or if it would be successful, even if it was terribly messy and it wasn't done perfectly. I'm sure if you are a perfectionist, you have this you procrastinate. It is just part of being a perfectionist, is that you procrastinate because you want it to be perfect. You want everything to work out perfectly. You want to be prepared for everything that happens. I do it too. But I learned that being able to let go of that control of perfectionism and being able to do it, even if it's messy, even if it's scared, it's just going to propel me so much further. So even if you don't know how to do it, even if it's not going to come out right, it's not going to be to your expectation, it's still important that you do it. Okay, so what about those tasks that feel really big, feel overwhelming, and you are not excited to do this task, but you have to do it because it's part of being an adult? What about those tasks, right? So one thing that I've learned is that you can always figure it out. Everything is figure outable, but you need to at least start. You need to at least start. It's like reading a book, for example, like a really thick book. I'm going to grab this book I have right here. This is not the best example, but so I have this book. It's around 300 pages long, right? So think of this task. It's like this book, right? And the bigger the task, maybe the bigger the book is. Like it's a 500 page or 1,000 page book. You have to scratch that surface of reading at least the first page, the first chapter, to start making progress on finishing the whole book, right? It's the same when it's a very big task. There's so many different elements that you need to complete to do it. You need to start by scratching that surface and by slowly making your way through page by page, task by task, to finish that big task. There is this story that I love, and I don't know if it's a Chinese myth, but it's about this man who's on the moon. And he is given this task by the gods to cut down this tree, this very thick, huge, big tree. And every day he's cutting it, right? He is cutting it bit by bit. But so what happens is he likes to take a break. And every time he takes a break, the trunk of that tree grows back, right? But he always takes his break, no matter what. If he had just stayed there and kept cutting that tree, cutting through that trunk of that tree, he would have finished the task. But he never does, because he always takes a break and he always stops. And so I'm going to encourage you. I'm not saying you can't take breaks because we're not in a mythical situation. We're not that man on the moon. But to keep chipping away at that task bit by bit, and you will finish it. Okay. And the last point I want to make, if you're very excited about doing something, you have a creative project you want to do. This is me. I'm very guilty of this. I'm very excited about something. I thought of idea and I want to do it. All right. If you're very excited about doing it, you want to do it when you're still excited about it, when you still have that interest in it. Sometimes when you procrastinate on doing something, one thing that happens is that thing that you're procrastinating on, it feels a lot bigger in your head, right? It becomes a lot bigger than what it actually is. And when you procrastinate it, that energy of excitement that you originally had when you had the idea it's going to turn stale, and maybe you'll convince yourself to not do something. Like you're very excited about maybe starting a business, for example. But then when you're like, okay, I don't have time for this right now, I'm going to do it later. right? Suddenly, you have this time to convince yourself not to do that thing, and that energy of excitement of starting your business, it might turn stale. You might think, actually, maybe that's not a good idea, and that's when the energy of excitement that could have propelled you into doing this project, it starts to fade away. So I encourage you, if you are excited about something, to do it while you're still excited, and to scratch that surface in a little bit. Maybe start some research, maybe make a to-do list, map out the project, just start it in some way and get that energy of excitement on it and ride that energy, because that energy can be used to propel you so much in the project. All right, so what did you think? How did you think I did? Do you think, was I able to convince you to just do it today? Let me know. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.